Namaste. Welcome to the Somatic Hatha Yoga practice. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to this gentle Hatha practice. Please begin by finding yourself in a comfortable reclined position. Feel free to use a bolster or pillow under the knees or any other props that help you bring about more comfort. Big breath in, filling up. You get that little hold and then just letting it go and noticing your body softening, the ribs dropping, the navel softening towards the earth. And one more like that, big breath in. Maybe hold and just feeling tension release out of your body with that breath. Softening through the jaw as you start to observe the body breathing now. Allowing the tongue just to rest in the lower palate of the mouth. Starting to feel all the muscles of the eyes begin to relax. And then coming back once the body feels a little more still, a little more heavy, a little more relaxed, to become aware once again of the breath, resisting the urge to change anything, and just noticing how your body expands and contracts. Maybe relaxing the shoulders 1% more, relaxing the low back, the hips and the pelvis, the hip flexors 1% more, the fingers and the toes, and the muscles of the face. Noticing how your body feels today. And just observing any thoughts, whether they're the past or the future or present as they arise, making sure that you're allowing them to come and pass. Redirecting our awareness back to the breath when the mind gets a little carried away. And feeling free just to surrender what arises if the mind just continues to hop around. Just taking a few more rounds of breath here, continuing to relax the body, continuing to observe the breath. Good. Following this last round of breath in and out. We'll begin to bring little movements into the fingers and the toes. Good. Maybe start to zip the legs in together, adding a little flexion through the heels with the softness to the knees, and then extending the arms overhead. Modifying, of course, if you've got anything going on in the body in any of these offerings or postures today.
Maybe both arms are reaching as we pull the navel towards the spine. Think of that lumbar spine anchoring down, flexing through the heels, the toes drawing back towards the shins. Wiggle the shoulders or draw them down away from the ears. So we're finding length in the body, protecting our back body by engaging the core, flexing through the heels to keep the joints in alignment with one another, and just making sure the elbows are slightly soft as we spread the fingers wide and lengthen the fingertips in the opposite direction of the heels. Good. And then if you like, you can just start to flip through the wrists and point through the toes, alternating, keeping that abdomen engaged here. The ribs might be lifting slightly, but just making sure you're not feeling any pain in the back body, and just kind of pedaling out through the wrists so the hands might lift away from the mat in opposite directions, noticing how we lengthen through one side of the body, more space being created around the waist and down through the hip and the leg, and same with the upper body. Good. And then reach and lengthen in your own way, whether you want to point the toes or flex the heels, whatever feels good, but shoulders down away from the ears. Take a big breath in, still reaching and lengthening, no matter if the arms are lifted or making contact. And then as we exhale, just soften into the body. Bend the elbows enough to where the backs of the arms will make contact to the floor. We're going to start to take a bend into the knees, bringing the inner edges of the feet together. Lift through the hips and pelvis and slowly release that spine back down. We'll take a big breath in, and on our exhale, just slowly start to peel the legs open into external rotation through the hips, bringing the soles of the feet together. Again, making any adjustments to find as much comfort as you can. You might wiggle the shoulder blades in. And again, just trying to find that 90-degree-ish bend in the elbows. Taking a few rounds of breath, allowing the body to settle into this position. If this is too much for the low back or the hips, you can add your blocks underneath the outer thighs or knees here. And just come back to your breath, softening the body just a little more where you notice any resistance. Maybe close down through the eyes, or at least if the eyes need to remain open, if it feels forced to close the eyes, then just allow, again, all the muscles to be soft, the lids to be heavy. The breath is still easy here. We don't need to manipulate the breath unless we're finding it really shallow or jagged. Noticing any resistance in the body as we ask it to open up, or again, maybe you're just opening up through one hip. Maybe you're being a little kinder to one area of your body today. Maybe it's a shoulder. As we continue to take a few rounds of breath here, maybe focusing on if the abdomen's rising and falling, not just rising and falling, but expanding outward, and maybe even feeling the back body in that low area of the torso filling up and softening, drawing back to center. Good. Let's keep the upper arms where they are. Of course, you can adjust as needed, and just flip the fingers towards the sky. So we're just pivoting on those elbows. On your exhale, let the palms come down to the mat or the floor, and maybe they won't touch, just let them hover to where you feel a gentle stretch. We'll inhale the arms, fingers back to the sky, and exhale, let the back of the hands fall towards the earth. So just getting into a rhythm with your breath, honoring your range of motion. You can experiment with sliding the elbows slightly more towards the ribs and see if you can find a little more range of motion there. Start to really pause in the spaces between the breath. So that might require us to kind of slow and lengthen the inhales and exhales down. And we don't have to hold the breath between, but just notice we can start to see the breath as being four parts rather than just the two. Good. And the next time the back of the arms rest with the palms up in that cactus, relax through the body, let go of any muscular contraction, and just take a few more abdominal breaths or diaphragmatic breaths if you can. Focusing again on the abdomen, sides, back of the body expanding as we inhale. And contraction as everything draws back in, the lungs deflating. Good, and maybe release the arms first. Sometimes it's nice to bring the fingers or hands to the outer thighs, or just using the muscles of the legs, keeping the arms where they are if you like. Slowly draw the knees back towards one another. Heel toeing the feet about hip distance apart, pushing into the feet to lift the low back, curving the tail, and then gently releasing the spine back down. Let's add our windshield wipers of the knees, maybe starting to turn the head in the opposite direction, just making sure you feel a lot of space around the throat and the sides and the back of the neck here. Feeling that massage of the back of the skull and that lubrication, the ball and socket joints of the hips. Slowing it down if you're moving quickly. We get in a habit often of hurrying. Our opportunity to slow down and recognize less is often more. Good. And then when you're ready, just coming back to center, adjusting anything that needs to be adjusted. And we're going to lift the right foot from the mat, hugging the knee in, clasping the hands around the shin or behind the knee, or you could use a strap here. Let's just focus on allowing the arms to be heavy, the shoulders to stay connected to the earth beneath us. And you can experiment with keeping the left knee bent or extending the leg long. And we do want to activate through that leg if we are extending it to keep the joints in alignment. So a little flexion through the heel with the soft knee. And let's just focus on inhaling, letting the elbows extend slightly, the thigh coming away from the abdomen a little. And as you exhale, squeezing it in. So let's just those little movements here. Starting to feel a stretch through the quadricep muscle, and extension through the back of the glutes. The legs extended on the left side. You might feel that gentle stretch as the psoas muscle lengthens out on the left as we squeeze in through the right. Good. Now we're going to reach for our strap here, keeping that right knee drawn in. We're going to unravel our strap and wrap it around the sole of the right foot, extending that leg up towards the sky. So kind of organically can bring that flexion into the heel as we bring the strap around the middle of the foot. And same thing we did with the knee, just gently drawing the leg a little closer in, but not forcing it, finding the range of motion that really honors where you're at. We're opening up through the back of the right leg here, and still a micro bend or even a deeper bend in the right knee. Trying to relax the upper arms and the shoulders. Maybe we're just kind of hinging at the elbows to draw that thigh in and slowly release on the or rather inhalations. Again, eyes closed can help with more of an inward perspective, helping the mind to stay a little more focused on the present. Good. And then we'll switch both ends of the strap to the right hand, the left arm lay out to the left. We'll take a big breath in, and as we exhale, really anchoring down with stability through the left side of the body as we peel that right leg open. Again, softening the knee as much as you need to. And if you feel the left sit bone, hip roll away from the mat, then lift the leg further away from the floor. You can use a prop to rest it on if that's helpful, or maybe bending the knee a little more. Option to roll the head turning the chin over the left shoulder here. Maybe even taking the left hand to that left hip just to help maintain that mind body connection to feeling that stability through the left side of the body. So we're using some muscular contraction to hold the leg in place here, maybe through that arm, but just seeing where you can soften a little more, keeping that breath just rhythmic and easy. See if you can soften the right quadricep muscle a little more. Good. Take one more round of breath in and out. Using your inhale to bring the head slowly back to center and your exhale to slowly engage that right leg, feeling the adductor muscles working. Good. Let's switch the ends of the strap into the left hand. Lay the right arm long beside us. Big breath in. And now as we exhale, we can relax through the left leg as we cross the right leg over to the left. We can allow the right lower body to lift away from the floor, the right hip maybe even stacking over the left. Notice if you're squeezing into the left glute or hip, and just slowly give yourself permission to begin to soften through the entire left leg from the hip all the way down to the toes. The head might turn over the right shoulder, and again, just relaxing the shoulders and any areas that don't need to be held. Are you holding contraction in the right quad or the knee, and just soften through that right leg as well? You might feel a little squeeze through some of those digestive organs, maybe more on the right side of the abdomen. So noticing that slight resistance. If there is pressure there in your body, we're all different shapes and sizes, so you may feel that or you may not. And if you're not, just noticing what you feel in your body. Still softening a little more with each exhale. Good. And taking one more full round of breath in and out here, still relax through the legs. And then we'll slowly bring that head back to center first. It was the last to turn. So we're reversing our transitional steps and then slowly lifting that right leg now, using our abductor muscles a little more with the support of the uh, adductor muscles. Once that leg's up, let's remove the strap, bending through the knee once again. And you can just come back to where we started, the half wind relieving pose, just maybe rocking or drawing circles, or you can start to flex the sole of the foot towards the sky, taking your peace fingers around the big toe and moving into a half happy baby. Now you might feel the need or want to bend back through the left leg if this is too intense, and that left knee might drop open just to provide that center of gravity so we're not lifting the left side of the body away. The inner thigh on the right side starting to drop more towards the outer right ribs, and just thinking of that thigh, that quad again, just softening and relaxing any tension, softening it down towards the earth beside the right rib cage, relaxing down through the right shoulder. Maybe it kind of lifts to hold the leg in place. If you're feeling your alignment is compromised here, you could definitely use your strap and wrap it around the sole of the foot, or even just hook the hand wrist in behind the leg. Just coming back again to some easy breathing, still focusing on letting more tension go with each breath out. 2 more slow rounds of breath here. Good. If the left leg's extended, it might feel good to bend that knee first. So just honoring your body, slowly releasing the bind, squeezing that knee in one more time. Relax through the right ankle and foot. And then we'll release that right foot down. Maybe rock those knees from side to side, just noticing any differences between the right and left hip, quad, side of the body. Good. And then we'll start to move over to the left. So once you're ready, coming back to center, readjusting if you need through the back body, and then drawing the left knee in, taking your bind to support the leg, relaxing the shoulders, and just starting with those little squeeze on the exhales in, noticing if you're feeling massage to the left side of the abdomen. Maybe you extend the right leg, maybe experiment with extending it a little longer. It doesn't have to be fully extended. And if it is, that flexion through the heel and a soft knee. And when you're feeling ready, we'll start to reach for that strap once again, keeping the left knee in and wrapping the strap around the sole of the left foot before slowly extending it up towards the sky. Just notice any tenderness through the back of the leg, honoring it by letting the leg fall further away from the body, checking in that you're not forcing any kind of a stretch in your body, and just slow little movements, just like we did with the knee bent to begin. Feeling both sides of the sacrum equally heavy down, providing again some of that stability through the back of the body. The upper arms anchored, wiggle the shoulders if you're getting congested there, and just feel the shoulder blades spread, taking up space. Maybe coming back to stillness to bring both ends of the strap into the left hand. The right arm may just lay long to help, again, anchor that right side of the body. Or we might take the right hand to the right hip bone, just anchoring down through that hip and sacrum. Take a big breath in at center. And as we exhale, we'll begin to open up through the left leg. So just really slowly so we can be mindful that we're not lifting through the right side of the body. If it feels better to have the knee bent on the right and dropping it out to find that center, that's great. And just allowing that leg to land in a place where you're feeling a gentle stretch without lifting the right side of the body. And softening through the upper left arm and feeling the strength of the lower arm and hand and wrist supporting that leg. The knee nice and soft and the breath easy. And then just taking one more full round of breath here. Slowing our transitions down. We can use our inhale to bring the head back. Our exhale to slowly, mindfully start to notice what muscles engage as we bring the left leg back up. Maybe there's a little wobbly, a little shakiness. Just doing your best to smooth it out. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll flip the strap ends into the right hand, lay the left arm long, take a big breath in, knees still soft. And now as we exhale, we'll cross the left leg over to the right, allowing the low back to lift away, but maintaining contact through the left shoulder blade. Sometimes it helps to bring the elbow up away from the ribs and more towards the shoulder, somewhere in between. And then checking in with the right leg from the hip, the glute, all the way down. Soften a little more. That softness through the knee will just naturally occur as we relax that leg, and then checking in with the left leg, softening through that knee. Maybe the left hip starts to stack over the right. Maybe we drop the head over the left shoulder, pick it up and turn it in that direction. And just feeling that squeeze if you're noticing that in your body as the thigh might kind of graze that low left abdominal area. Taking another full round of breath in and out here. Slowly bring the head back. And then very slowly that left leg. Noticing the different parts of the body that reconnect to the mat as we gradually draw that leg back up to where we started. And we'll bend the knee once we're there, release the strap off to the side and just give it another little squeeze or a few little squeezes in. You can stay here just rocking, squeezing, drawing circles, or opening up with the bent knee, or flex the sole of the left foot towards the sky, taking your bind here, allowing the inner left thigh to start to drop more towards the left rib cage, the quad, the upper thigh dropping towards the earth, just to the left of the left side of the body. The left shoulder kind of anchoring down, a softness to the elbows. Good. Taking one more full round of breath here. And slowly starting to release your bind. Once again, we'll squeeze that left knee or thigh in. Gently releasing the sole of the left foot. If the right leg's extended, we'll take a bend in the knee to bring the feet towards one another about hip distance. And again, just adding that little rock from side to side, nice and slow, maybe adding the turn of the head in the opposite direction if it feels good. Finally coming back to center as you're ready. Pressing into the feet, we'll slide the hips over to one side or edge of the mat and begin to fall into a fetal position. Rather than anticipating what comes next, just really land here, nourishing your body, nourishing your emotional body, mental body, physical body. Good, and then we'll slowly press into the floor with the upper hand to transition our way up. And you can either come to cross-legged position or grab that bolster and we'll come into a hero pose. So a little more for the quads. You can stack your props too if needed, if that's a little too intense. So if the knees pop away from the mat, or you can just find yourself on your bottom if this doesn't serve your body today. We're going to grab our straps when we're here as well. So we'll work a little on the shoulders. Just finding your hands on the strap about shoulder distance apart. We can always adjust that. Pulling the low belly in, we'll give ourselves a little wiggle to soften. Good. So we're just going to start by using our inhales to float the arms up just to where you're comfortable, where your range of motion is. Maybe the arms come all the way to frame the head. Maybe they're more forward. Maybe they come further back with a softer bend in the elbow. We're not moving through the spine so that low belly keeps us tall with those natural curves. So when you're ready, take your breath in with the arms lifted now, and we'll use our exhales to lower all the way back down. So the elbows can be soft, not hyperextended. Maybe the hands need to be further away from one another. And again, we're not letting the rib cage push forward, arching through the spine or flexing through the spine. So just allowing the arms to take you where you're comfortable and the elbows bent as needed. As we move through this, just softening the shoulders down away from the ears. Just slowing it down. I say it when I know I need the reminder, because probably someone else will too. Good. Now, the next time we lift the arms up overhead, we're going to release the left hand, kind of take that strap in behind, the right arm extended overhead, and then bending through the elbow. So finding the strap with both hands. Don't walk them in so forcefully again that we're pushing the ribs forward, but just find that perfect spot for you where maybe you're a little challenged to bring the hands closer, but not forcing it. We can relax the shoulders. Maybe that right elbow lifts all the way up. Maybe it kind of pushes forward. It doesn't really matter. Let go of what it looks like. Make sure there's room for the head so we're not pushing or forcing any kind of tension through the head and neck. And then just focus on your breath, maybe closing through the eyes, that low abdomen still gently pulled in, the shoulders relaxing. And you may at some point feel like you want to adjust the hands. Maybe after a few breaths, you feel more intensity and you need to separate the hands further. Maybe after a few breaths, you feel things starting to release and you can walk the hands in a little closer. And that's one of the great benefits too, to holding some of these postures a little longer, just to check in and see where we're at. And let's just take 3 more rounds of breath here. Our breath may be different, so just taking your time, no rush. At the end of your third exhalation, release the left arm first and just slowly let the back of the hand slide down the back, and we'll let it drape over towards that left thigh. And then we'll slowly reach that right arm up, not in a hurry. Allow the arm just to mindfully fall down to the side. Good. We can bring that strap out front and just take a moment to roll out through the shoulders here. Reversing. No, you can change position if this is getting uncomfortable. Good. We'll come back to where we started, bringing the strap about shoulder distance or a little wider. We'll inhale, float those arms up nice and soft through the elbows, not allowing the back to arch. And then we'll just kind of manipulate that right hand to start to bring the strap in behind, the left arm extended, and then we'll drop that right arm to reach in behind now the spine, bending through the left elbow when you're ready and finding that place where you want to hold the pose, knowing you can change your mind and adjust as needed. The low belly pulled in, give that little wiggle just to soften, making sure you have room for the head and neck here. Good. And then with the bind at the strap, or maybe your fingers bind, and that's how you like to come into this pose. You can definitely remove the strap if you're comfortable with that. Just relaxing the shoulders, lengthening through the crown gently, softening the eyes. If they need to be open, take a gaze down at the floor, maybe a spot just beyond the top edge of your mat, something to gently focus on. Good, and just 2 or 3 more rounds of breath here. We'll prepare on an inhalation so we can start to use that final exhale just to allow the right hand to slide down the strap, down the back body, very gently bringing the palm to the thigh, extending the left arm up. So we're mindfully moving out just as we mindfully moved in, and then releasing that left arm down. You can just set that strap off now, hands to thighs, and just kind of roll out in one direction through the shoulders and then the other. Good. Coming back to that neutral spine, a little wiggle. Now, option to begin with a nice neutral spine to bring those fingertips in behind you. Now, you can also take your blocks if that's helpful to bring the hands. We want to check in that the knees don't lift away from the mat here, so we're not going back so far that the knees lift, but maybe there's a little space to get into those quads a little bit more. Now, we don't want this up to be a back bend, so pull that low belly in and just walk the arms and shoulders back. We're lifting and expanding across the chest, the shoulder blades coming in towards one another, and then option to keep the chin tucked, the head forward, or slowly, without arching the back, dropping the head slowly back with control. So maybe we just take the gaze slightly up, or maybe we allow the back of the head just to slowly fall, but allow this to be controlled so that you can really gauge where you want to start to back out a little bit. Just taking a few rounds of breath in and out here, opening around the heart space, pulling that low belly in, and feeling maybe a more deeper stretch through the quads. Also opening the energy channels through the front line of the body, where so often we're kind of closed up or closed in, sometimes protecting that spiritual heart. Let's take one more breath in. And slowly, slowly start to bring the head back to neutral, maybe tucking the chin to the chest. And we're just going to pause there, taking a couple rounds of breath. Good. So just being really mindful in our movement, making sure we're not feeling lightheaded. We can start to walk our hands away back up to the thighs. And again, we're going to pause here. So now that the spines come back into a more neutral position, we'll just take a moment, maybe with the eyes closed, and just notice any sensation of energy through the front of the body or wherever you sense it. Let's give a little love to the neck before we come out. Feel that low belly pull in as we grow tall through the crown, through the spine as we breathe in, and then keep that length as we just gently drop the chin to the chest. The shoulders still stay broad and relaxed. Notice how it might take some time for the chin to really drop and that head to surrender to where it wants to land. And then moving with breath on your next inhale, we'll just roll the chin to one shoulder. Feel that side of the neck opening up, the opposite side. Using our exhale to roll the chin to chest, and our next inhale to the opposite shoulder. So just really slow movement. Again, thinking if there's any kind of rigidity there or jaggedness in the movement. We're moving so slowly that we're smoothing that out. And when you feel evened out on both sides, once the chin drops back to the chest, pause there for a full inhale and exhale. Not cutting that breath out short. And then we'll use our inhale to bring the head back to center. Good. Maybe opening the eyes if they're closed. And we're going to make our way off that bolster and start to make our way to the hands and the knees. Finding our tabletop pose, adding cushioning under the knees if there's any kind of pain or discomfort. You always have the option too of doubling up the mat. Just spread the fingers, clawing the fingertips into the mat, soften the elbows, the inner creases facing one another, lifting the chest, the Neck is nice and long, and the abdomen's gently drawn in. We're going to bring the left knee slightly into the right to find our center of gravity. We can curl the left toes or keep the top of the foot flat. And we're going to extend the right leg out to the right. So the foot might plant down, and it doesn't really matter what angle the toes are, just what's comfortable. You'll be able to sense and feel that in your own body. Good. We're going to take a nice big breath in. The low abdomen's pulled in, the elbows are still soft. And we're just going to lunge towards that right hip. So we might kind of feel like we're drawing an arch with the torso. Maybe we're just leaning to the right and back to center. So just finding a range of motion and movement that feels good in your body and keeping the elbows soft. If this gets too much for the wrists, I encourage you to take fists into the wrist, or you can bring your blocks underneath the hands as well. Good. Maybe you start to draw circular motions into that hip. And again, if you need that padding, add it in. Notice the neck and just keeping it in alignment with the spine, or maybe it just kind of flows in some way. And when it feels good, reverse that direction of movement. Good. Once you come back to center, experiment with keeping that right leg out, and you can change your mind anytime. But we're going to bring those palms back down to the mat, and we're going to move into downward dog from this position. So if it's available, again, you can come into your normal down dog if you like, if that feels better. We're going to curl the left toes, lift through the hips. That right leg might slide in, soften through the knee, pointing through the toes, and just kind of rock forward and back, keeping the elbows soft. Noticing that nice stretch to the inner right thigh and making sure it's not too intense. So my heels lifted, I'm kind of pointing my toes and grounding them into the mat on the right side. But again, you can just come back into your regular down dog if this doesn't feel good in your body. Just a couple more rounds of breath. Good. Feel the right foot come down. Slowly bend the left knee and let that left knee come down. We'll tuck the right knee back under. Let's start in table once again. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, slide the torso to the right, the hips drawing back towards the right heel, over to the left, the elbows stay soft, and we'll draw nice big circles now through the entire torso. Starting to exaggerate and opening up through the sides of the body, creating space where it feels good. And we'll reverse that. Good. When you feel evened out on both sides, coming back to table, you can decide if you want to be on the palms or on the fingers with the fists. And we'll bring the right knee slightly in, extending the left leg out to the left, pointing the toes in whatever direction feels good, but trying to ground down through all four corners. Look at the arch. See it lift as we ground down through the four corners of the feet. We think of the four corners, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the baby toe, and both sides of the heel. Take a nice big breath, elbows soft, engaging through the core, neck nice and neutral, and we'll start to move with breath, exhaling, just kind of drawing those arches, or maybe you're just kind of body to the left and then back to center. If you want to add more, we can start with little circular motions. Maybe you gradually find your full range of motion. Maybe it just feels good to stay with the smaller movements today. Elbow soft, head neutral, and reversing. And we'll come back to center. You can just come back to the hands and knees if you know you're not comfortable with this strange downward dog today, or you can curl the right toes, sink the hips slightly back, and then push into those toes. That left leg might slide in. I like to just lift the heel. It just feels better, so I'm not finding too much of a stretch through the inner left thigh. And then just kind of rocking forward and back. As we rock forward, the leg extends a little more through the right. As we push back, the tail stays high, but we lunge a little into that right knee. Take rest as needed, of course. If you're not used to bringing that weight into the shoulders and upper body, we might feel the desire and need just to come down and take a little break before joining in, or not. That's okay too. Good. And then we'll come back to that downward dog-ish and we'll release the right knee down as the left knee bends even more and then tuck that left knee in. Good. This time with the nice neutral spine, abdomen pulled in, soft through the elbows. We'll take a breath in as we exhale. We're going to C curve the spine, swinging gently the right hip to the right and then look over the right shoulder. And then the other side, it's like we're wagging our tail really slow. So try not to let the ribs drop. And again, make sure the wrists are comfortable here. And just evening that movement out. Equal on both sides. When we come back to center, let's curl our toes now. Walk the hands back towards the thighs. If this isn't comfortable, again, you can come onto your bottom, but we'll just give a little roll out. While we're here, roll out through those wrists as well. Any way that feels good to you. Maybe it's clasping the hands and rolling them together. Maybe it's a little shake. Good. And then when we're ready to release, especially if those toes were curled, but even if not, we'll come back to kneeling or table rather, just to flatten through the feet. Yeah, and smack them out. Let the feet come to one direction. We'll walk the hands back to bring our bums down. Good. Just adjusting yourself here. We'll bring the legs out front, finding our sit bones. We're going to hook the hands in behind the knees and just sit up nice and tall. Maybe pull the fleshy bits back and away. So really feel that core engage, the shoulders gently rolling down and back so we're proud through the chest. Holding that head in a neutral position, making sure the chin's not lifted or tucked too forcefully. Give that little wiggle through the shoulders. Closing down through the eyes, take a few rounds of breath and just notice when you start to feel some of those muscles holding us here really fire up, especially around the core. You might even feel the hip flexor starting to fire up here. Good. Now, option to keep the hands behind the thighs. Start to see, curve the spine and roll down, or a little more for the core. Send the arms forward. I like to eventually extend the legs. I find for some reason that makes it a little easier for me. So do what you need to do. Take a big breath in. Keep that core engaged and start to bring yourself down. You might pause on the inhales and roll a little further on the exhales. And using the arms and hands at any point in time if you need, making sure you come down gently. Let's send the arms and legs out to a star position here. Spread the heels away from one another, roll the shoulders down, and then send the arms away from one another. Imagine you're taking up as much space as you can, but modify if this doesn't feel good for the low back. Soften through the eyes, head in a neutral position. And just notice any sensation, vibration, energy you feel in your body. Maybe it's around the torso, maybe it's the front of the body, maybe it's the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes. Notice if there's any tension through the jaw, letting it go. Good. And then we'll start to draw, bend to the elbows to bring those arms down to the sides. We'll turn the toes up towards the ceiling and start to bring the feet together, bending through the knees. Adjusting the sacrum, lifting and gently lowering it back down. We'll start with just that little sway of the knees again from side to side. Just noticing any differences in how things are feeling now compared to when we first started with this movement. Good. We're going to take a final supine twist before Shavasana. Let's bring the knees back to stillness, the feet about hip distance apart. Pick up the left foot, slide it over towards the right, and then you can push into those feet just to bring the body into a more of an angle there. We'll ground through the left foot, pick up the right, cross the right thigh over the left, let the arms just move away to create space. We'll take a big breath in as we exhale, allowing the legs to fall gently over to the left, taking the head over to the right. So same thing, we can add something under the legs if letting them drop heavy peels the right shoulder away from the mat. And if it's not comfortable to stay crossed through the legs, then uncross the legs and just stack the knees or find a variation of a twist that feels good in your body today. See if you can fully relax the lower body now, maintaining contact through the right shoulder as it gently draws down, slowing your breath, maybe softening back through the eyes. After an exhalation, beginning to transition out, bringing the head back to center, drawing the knees back up if the legs are crossed. Uncrossing, add that little adjustment through the spine or any other movement that feels good. And then once those feet are planted in that bridge preparatory pose, we'll walk the right foot over to meet the left, push into the feet just to bring the hips in alignment with the feet now. Ground through the right foot, cross the left leg over the right, big breath in, and as we exhale, allowing the legs to slowly fall to the right. Maybe adjusting the shoulders to create more space if there's any congestion there, and you might just allow the chin and head to fall over to the left. Using your props to support or checking in that if it doesn't feel good to keep the legs crossed, you can uncross and stack them. Noticing how it takes maybe a few rounds of breath or more to really settle into this position, to really let go of lingering, holding. Just aware of how the breath is flowing in your body. And completing one more round of breath here. And gradually bringing that head back. Noticing what engages to draw the knees back up. Uncrossing the left leg from the right, wiggling our way, shimmying our way back to the middle of the mat, and just adding that little rock of the knees. If you want a little more, lifting the feet away from the mat to hug the knees in, adding any additional movement or different movement that calls to you. And if you want that final squeeze, once you've worked through all directions in your movement, maybe pulling the knees in, the thighs in, and the head can stay grounded if you don't want to lift the head, but you can if It's optional to pull the chin up towards the knees as well and just squeeze everything in. Maybe crunch up the muscles of the face, flex through the heels, around the shoulders towards the jaw. Take one more breath in and slowly begin to unravel, allowing the soles of the feet to reconnect to the mat. Now we have our props. So if you want to bolster under the knees, setting that up, even if you don't feel you need it, maybe it's what you want today. Maybe you just need a little extra nourishment for your body, a little more restoration. Maybe you're just extending everything out. If it helps to reset the breath here, maybe taking a nice big full inhalation, holding at the top, letting it go in your own time, and just feeling the body settle even heavier as you do. Relax the jaw, the brow, and the tongue. And maybe just without movement, noticing your body and the position that it's in, identifying different parts of the body that may be feeling more like an energetic field, the back of the head, the shoulders, the arms, the fingers, the back body, the hips, the pelvis, the length of the legs, the tips of the toes, just feeling the whole body together. Notice that breath flowing and those gentle movements as it does ebb and flow. And only if you're ready to, maybe beginning to bring little movements now into the fingers and the toes. Maybe gently rocking the head from side to side. And then just inviting a little more movement into your body if it calls to you, whether it's lengthening out to a gentle, gentle stretch, or deepening a bend in the knees to plant the feet and rock the legs, or pulling the knees back in towards the chest. Just whatever you need. Maybe it's less movement, maybe it's more. Gradually finding yourself in a fetal position on one side or the other. Once again, just pausing for a breath or two. And then slowly rising up to find yourself back in that upright position, maybe crossing the legs, maybe crossing the legs in the opposite direction. And if you'd like to join me once you are here, bringing the hands together at the heart, maybe making contact with the thumbs to the chest, relaxing the shoulders, the jaw, taking a couple deep rounds of breath, centering and grounding yourself before you go about your day, knowing a couple deep diaphragmatic or belly breaths can really change the outcome of a situation or altercation. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.
If you enjoyed today's practice, please be sure to like and subscribe and find me on Instagram at The Yoga Loft. Namaste.